So the first question over here was from Lloyd, wasn't it? So you've got 6 units.
Yep.
You're about to approach the VAT threshold. Do you own the units, or is it rent to SA?
Rent to SA.
Rent to SA. Okay. So to keep it very simple and straightforward for you, have you come across TOMS, the Tour Operators Margin Scheme?
Yeah, that's what I should think of.
Okay. So that's something that you ought to look at, the Tour Operators Margin Scheme. So generally speaking, if you're renting out rooms by the night,
yes,
you charge VAT if you exceed the threshold and charge 25%. If you can qualify for TOMS, you only have to pay VAT on your margin. Yeah. So let's say you're charging £80, but you're only making £30. Okay.
Yeah.
Your VAT is only payable on the £30 and not the £80. So it's going to be a significant saving for you. However, you have to make sure if you're doing rent to SA that the contract you have in place or the lease arrangement you have in place makes very clear who's responsible for what. So to keep it really simple, you shouldn't be paying for anything. They should be paying for everything, if that makes sense. So the supply that you buy in,
yes,
you can't change. So in terms of the fixtures, fittings, equipment, knives, forks, all that kind of stuff, all has to be paid by them. How you structure that is important, and that's a conversation you can have with them. Because if you're adding something to the supply, then you don't qualify for TOMS. That's the biggest one you have to do. You can just work it out so it works with whichever person or persons you've got to doing that. Yeah. So look at TOMS. I think you're going to have a significant saving, especially if you're doing rent to SA.
Yes.
Is that okay for you?
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, good. Second question over here, CT2 holding company. Who's that? Was that yours, Oliver?
No.
Sorry. Nigel. So let's look at the holding company structure very quickly, shall we? So what Nigel is saying is, up here you have a holding company, and Nigel is sat up here because he owns the shares. Then over here Nigel has company 1, 2 and 3. And your question is, if I move money from here to here, let's just call it 100 grand, does this company pay tax? Have I got that right?
Which company pays tax, or what? Yeah. Does company 1 pay commercial?
Yep. So this company makes a profit, okay, and it pays corporation tax. Then the beauty about the holding company structure, Nigel, is you move the money up to the holding company and there's no further tax to pay. And then you can move this down to company 2, 3, 4, wherever you like. As long as the funds stay within the company, no further tax to pay. If this is a trading company structure, so an investment company, Nigel, is one where you buy property and you hold on to it. Trading is where someone like Oliver buys property, redevelop and sells.
Oh,
so,
I'm keeping it.
Yeah. But if you were to sell them, Oliver, then you would have a trading group. And if you ever have a trading group, there's other tax advantages for you having a holding company. Okay? Happy with that, or any further questions? Anybody got any questions on holding companies by any chance? No?
Sorry, can I just add to that? So once the holdco receives the 100,000,
Yep,
that isn't treated as, what is that that's treated as income?
that's treated as a dividend. Dividend to holding company was a tax-free dividend.
But on the P&L for the holdco, how does that get reflected in the P&L?
So in the P&L you reflect it as a dividend received from a subsidiary, but it's not taxable because the subsidiary already pay tax on it. Yeah, as long as it's part of the group structure. Yeah, so no further tax to pay. It's income, but non-taxable. Yeah. However, so I'll come to the second. I think Richard may agree that when you're applying for finance, Nigel, some lenders don't like the holding company structure, do they? Because there's lack of exposure, because they can't see what the holding company is doing and they've got no control. So sometimes, Nigel, you may, I've never come across it by the way, but I keep getting told by people that if you have, because you've got a partition there basically, or some lenders don't like this particular structure.
I think my experience with lenders with these kind of structures is they just struggle to get their head around what's going on. And I think there's a natural assumption from lenders, not from me, but from lenders that there's something slightly dodgy going on, that it's some kind of tax avoidance, minimization, and so they take a lot of time to really understand what's going on, how the dynamics work between the companies.
It's interesting, and I think it's also, in their view, a lack of transparency, because they can see what's going on here, and they can have debentures, floating charges, all that kind of stuff over here, fixed charges, whereas when the money goes here, they don't have any control, do they? But interestingly, I've never been asked that question by any lender on any of my stuff, and I use a holding company structure. Never.
Yeah, it's very common. But I know the one I mentioned earlier at the start about the commercial premises in Ipswich that we're doing a commercial mortgage on right now. It's owned by an individual's company, and he's got quite a complicated structure like this.
Yeah.
And it's taken us quite a long time to get really comfortable with it all.
Which makes no sense, because
it doesn't really, no.
Yeah, but there you go. So that's your question answered, Nigel, yeah? Sole traders limited company, whose question was that? Sorry, I've not come to you, sorry. Your name is?
Yeah, Narinda.
Hi, Narinda.
Hi, Narinda. So my question, well, actually, two small questions on the holding tax structure.
Yep.
So if you've got accumulated capital allowances, and you've got them in individual companies, can they be transferred up to the holding companies? So can the other company benefit from those capital allowances?
Yes, okay. in the group structure.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is, if you've got directors' loans to those companies, can they then also be paid by other companies?
Yes, as long as you transfer the funds over, yes.
Right.
Yeah, you can, yeah. That's another benefit of having a holding company structure. Because in effect, to keep it simple, as long as 75% or more is owned by the holding company, which usually in your case, it'll be 100% owned, unless you have some of the partners or investors. Therefore, you can pretty much do anything. And it's seen as one particular business from HMRC's perspective, yeah? Okay, sole trader to limited company. Question was from who, sorry?
It was me originally.
Okay, Richard, sorry. So if you just remind me of the question again.
It was a question that I get asked a lot from property investors, which is, from a tax perspective, am I better off under personal ownership or limited company ownership? And I know that's a very general question, but it is a common one.
So it depends on a number of things, and tax is only one consideration. So it depends how much flexibility they want. Because if you have a sole trader, you've got kind of carte blanche authority to do as you please. If you have a limited company, then you're restricted by your articles of association and then your the company law as well, okay, which stops you from doing certain things. So that's one thing. In terms of management and ease of management, again, you've got more flexibility, Richard, to do what you like as a sole trader. With a company, it's different. Just to kind of touch on the point that Narinda made, if you have a sole trader and you take £50,000 out, it's fine. You have a limited company, you take £50,000 out, it's either a salary or dividend or an overdrawn loan account. So you've got those kind of consequences. If you're adding people into your sole trader business, easier to do. If you're adding them to a limited company, harder to do, and there's more consequences. So there's those kind of things which come into it. Then, of course, you've got the issue of, do you want limited liability? Because with a sole trader, you're more exposed. In terms of purely tax, it depends where we stand right now. It depends on your other income. So if somebody's going to become a higher rate taxpayer, then they're better off having their property in a limited company, because Section 24 means you can't claim all the mortgage interest costs or the finance costs. So you can only claim half of them. If somebody doesn't have any other income and property is the only income that they generate, and let's say it's £25,000–30,000 a year, I'd say, Richard, they're probably better off keeping it in their own name. So it all depends, one, on their overall plan. If they're looking to scale up, I'd say go limited. If they're looking to just have a small pot of income coming in, and there's no other income coming in, or there's a small pension and they're looking to retire, I'd say go sole trader. But with most people, generally speaking, the intention, ambition, aspiration is to scale up. So I'd say 9 out of 10 cases, limited company works better. Yeah. Of course you can, Scott.
So if you have properties as a sole trader and you want to shift them across into a limited company, so is there a way, because I have heard different ways of not paying capital gains?
Yep,
Is there a way to do that?
there is. And you can thank Peter for this again, okay? 'Cause we're going to cover that for you over here, if that's okay with you.
Okay, and on the second question on that, so if you're still a sole trader and
Yep.
that section 24 thing, do you still get some allowance to claim some of that mortgage payments back as right now?
No.
So there's none, so it's
No.
completely gone.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
So just-
Unless they own half the property or share the property, and then they aren't affected by section 24, then they can claim their share of the cost. So let's say you and I both own a property together, and the interest costs are £5,000, and we own half each. You're a high rate taxpayer, I'm not, so my £2,500 interest, I claim on my tax return, it's fine. Your £2,500 interest, you can only claim half of it.
So if you're not a high rate taxpayer, that you can still claim.
Then you're okay.
Okay.
Is when you kick into the higher rate, you can't claim the 40% relief, you only claim 20% relief, yeah, as a tax credit. To John, and then we'll come over to you.
And just to add to that, where you sit in terms of high rate or lower rate, or basic rate, shall I say, is based on the income that you get, the net profit, before the interest is
That's
taken
right,
off.
that's right.
So effectively, it's pushed people up that normally
Wouldn't go into it. Yeah.
So you could find, even though your net income keeps you below the threshold,
Yeah, that's right.
actually you're up in the higher threshold because
It pushes
you've
you
got
up.
to take off the tax
That's
and
right.
the interest
Yeah,
first.
yeah. That's why I said it makes sense to have a limited company. The problem that most people have is if they own a significant portfolio in their own name, moving that from their own name into a limited company is where they have a challenge, which we'll cover when we get to number 5. Has he? Good. Okay.
If you're already small, let's say with 2 or 3 properties in your own name though, could you not leave those and then thereafter put things into a limited?
Yeah, that's right.
Would that not make
That's what most people end up doing if they have a small portfolio with a small income.
Because then you can control how you tax
Yeah,
that stuff.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. But if somebody has 10 properties, then it starts becoming a problem because the income's high and that pushes them into a higher rate anyway. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, by the way, make sure you click like, subscribe and post a comment because that tells me that you're engaging and you're finding the content useful. And if you like this video, make sure you check out this video here because it's the next stage in terms of your learning and development.